Ditch the fairy tale princess. It's time to step outside the status quo and blaze your own trail. The path littered with setbacks, successes, and newfound passions. Why? Because when you break away from the script, you start to pursue a life by choice. One that is all yours. Live unscripted and rewrite your life. Ooh, today's going to be a juicy one. I am literally looking like trash and I don't care. I wanted to come on and do not only a live, but also podcast episode because I just got off a podcast interview with a dear friend of mine who I've known for many, many years. Her name is Tara Romano. And her and I just had a conversation that I needed to have. And I wanted to share it with you because I feel like if I waited till you saw this episode or heard this episode in real time, whenever it launched a few weeks from now, you might not get the opportunity to message me. And if you are getting a chance to watch it live right now, as I'm recording it on Instagram while I'm recording it for the podcast, you can maybe take this and see that you can create content whenever, however. And it's one of those things that I want it to stop being a deterrent for you to get your message out there and to get your face in front of people who need to see you and who need to hear what you have to say and who need to be around your energy and learn from you. I think one of the big things that came up in the conversation I had with Tara was that we are not meant to be on so much. And we are literally like on so much that we don't get an opportunity to go live our lives like we used to. It was like, what did we used to do before we sat mindlessly scrolling with our brains clicked on, ingesting? Like we were too busy back in the day to compare. We were too busy to worry about what other people were doing because we were so, able to focus on our own shit. And I'm literally recording this podcast looking out my window and there is like a hurricane type of storm going on outside. And it kind of just feels like the energy that is inside of me sometimes. And it feels like a hurricane and like a storm. And I'm like, how ironic that I'm literally sitting here doing this right now in real time while this crazy wind is going on outside. Tara and I sat down and talked a lot about, what she's doing in the world. But, I really resonate a ton with what she said when we got into the realm of comparison. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about today was the comparison paralysis that we put ourselves in because we think we need to be doing it like somebody else. We think we need to be showing up as a version of us that doesn't even exist. So we're waiting until we become that person or feel ready, which we never will because we're not them. We can't do it like anybody else, right? So that constant comparison trap fucks us up. It like fucks us up so bad that a couple things can happen. We start showing up inauthentically, which definitely isn't sustainable, right? Or we don't even make a move. We don't make moves because we see shit that we want to be doing and we think to ourselves, oh, that's already been done. Oh, that's already being done at like a really high level. So who am I to step into that space? I'm a nobody, or I'm just a beginner, or I don't know enough to be an expert, or whatever label you want to put on. And I find a lot of times that, I tell myself, oh, I'm just unmotivated, or I don't want to do it. But really it's the fear. It's the fear of judgment and the fear of what I'll compare myself to at someone else's journey. And it keeps me stuck. And I think for a lot of people during COVID, it gave us an opportunity to kind of like pause. And while I think so many people appreciated that pause, I think it also fucked a lot of people up because we, for once, were at that point where we were so aware of the shit that was keeping us stuck because the excuses of I'm too busy or I don't have time were eliminated. Like we had all the time in the world. We had all of the space to explore new things or to stop things that weren't serving us anymore. A lot of us did. I wouldn't say that for everybody, right? But I think for the majority of people who listen to this podcast are entrepreneurs who have some sort of leeway or stretch in their business and their life where they can make moves or transition. And if you happen to be in corporate or if you happen to have a quote unquote regular, 9-to-5 type of a job, you will still resonate with this because a lot of us couldn't do the normal things we used to be able to do. And so, during that time was when I started the podcast. And prior to that, my excuses had been time and had been money. And I had watched a lot of my mentors and peers start things and do them really well and really successful. And it intimidated me. It intimidated me to the point that I was like, well, I'm never going to be as good as her. So why bother? And, you guys might see a different confident version of me that shows up every day doing this podcast or being here on social media and think, oh, she doesn't struggle with that. But I do. And I've learned that I don't talk about the process as much as I should. And I don't share with you like the progression of how I work through things in real time for you to maybe be inspired by that or to take action to think like, yeah, I want to work with her because she's not perfect. Like she's still figuring it out and she's not so far ahead of me that she can't turn around and help me see where my blocks are, how I'm keeping myself stuck. And that is like the thing I am most passionate and, driven to helping is women who really see big things for themselves, who want to step into that leadership role or that space where they just haven't allowed themselves to go because there's some internal blocks that they haven't worked on or released. And through breath work and through meditation and through movement, and through talking things out and processing them in real time with someone who gets it, that's how you can become unstuck. That's how you can start to flip your script, as I call this podcast. We can rewrite our script in order to show up differently. And in order to get a different result, we have to do different things. So, you can hear my energy, you can hear my passion when I talk about things like my retreat and starting your own podcast and stepping away from things that once served me at a really high level, right? Like working in the salon was like my thing, my jam. It was the place where I just flowed and everything was just like, ooh, so good. And there was a lot of hits of crack that happened throughout the day. Like I got a lot of validation from the clients that I saw because they loved what I did. They loved being in my energy. And it was so many wins and so much amazing shit that went on at the salon that when I started to transition to do other things, like you don't get immediate validation after you record a podcast episode. It sometimes doesn't even go out for a couple of weeks. So that hype that you build around certain things that you put out, you're not getting that validation back. So you're kind of just like throwing things out there, hoping that you're connecting with people or that it's quote unquote working. And, I know a lot of you are doing similar things and putting similar shit out there, whatever that looks like for you. And I just want to encourage you to keep showing up, like keep taking action and keep putting one foot in front of the other. We're in movement season. We are not in hot girl summer season. We are in don't give up season. Honor your ebbs and flows and know that not every day is going to feel super yummy and good and juicy, but that as long as you keeping on, you're going to be so much further along than that version of you who is talking yourself out of it. We always have that opportunity to listen to the fear or lean into the calling that we have on our heart, that voice inside of you that you can hear. Sometimes it comes as like a gentle whisper. Sometimes she's kind of like starting to get like sassy with you. And then other times that bitch is like screaming at you. Like, when are you going to do the things that you really want to be doing? When are you going to put yourself, out there? When are you going to show up to those workout classes like you said you were going to? When are you going to hire that mentor you need to get you going in the way you want to go? We sometimes think we can just carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, and we think we can just do all these things by ourselves. And if you have ever rolled in your masculine like I have for a really long time, like you think that's a prideful thing. You think you're going to win some fucking trophy at the end of the day for like doing it all by yourself and not asking for help and like being such a tough girl. Well, no, let me tell you, like no one's sitting there next to you giving you a trophy for like doing things the hard way. They're not. Nobody is. I hate to break it to you. And you're probably laughing at me thinking, yeah, no shit, Jessica, I know. But I think some of us carry this like busyness as a badge of honor. We carry like, oh, that shit was hard, but I didn't, I made it through. And I've just decided that even though life can be hard and challenging sometimes, like I can still have fun through the hard. I can still enjoy the process of a difficult day. I can still find joy in the little frustrating discoveries of trying to figure shit out that I don't know, or the humbling notion that I need to ask for help a lot of the times recently. I made it many, many years with like going at it on my own and figuring it out. And yes, that served me, and it created a lot of resiliency, determination, and a really strong work ethic. But at the end of the day, now that I'm older, I'm calling in more ease and flow and more just abundance. And that is a lot. So I need to be around people that have an energy that can hold space for me. I need to call in help when I need it. I need to not be scared for the big, bold asks of people. I need to not be scared anymore to invest in myself at a level that feels slightly uncomfortable. An investment can look like, put your money where your mouth is. An investment can look like time away to connect with what you need to do. It can look like time to take a course or time to listen to a podcast like you're doing right now. An investment can look like whatever it is that you want. But when you notice that you have inner work that needs to get done because you are getting triggered by things, say on social media or in your life or anywhere for that matter, those are signs pointing to you needing to ask for help or to get more clarity around why you're feeling triggered around certain things. Because I think it's foolish of us to think that our dreams can be built in a day. They can't. And with this quick hit of we want everything now, we have to be reminded that often our dreams are built on decades, not days. And you are currently building the person who can maybe take off in a year or 2 years. So know that how you're showing up today is super important for that version of you next year. And sometimes we think the little things that we don't do aren't going to add up, but it's really in the doing of the little things each and every day, that disciplined action, that we are going to create so much momentum that, watch out, world, in whatever arena that looks like for you, I think you got to sit down and ask yourself what it is that you want so that you can get really clear when things trigger you, you can get really clear when you feel that comparison coming on, and you can be like, I actually don't give a fuck about that. I actually can be happy for that person and not want what they have. But if you find yourself struggling with that, know that you have the power to unfollow people, to stop looking on social media, to take a pause, to only produce content rather than ingest content, and maybe open up your eyes to a different avenue of getting yourself out there, say with a podcast. I have literally never been more obsessed with something. I find that I can completely be myself with the podcast, right? Nobody's here, nobody's judging me. And it's an avenue where I've just been able to branch out and find so much creative expression. It allows for me to be invited into other people's worlds because I have a podcast. It allows for me to invite them into my world. And it feels so yummy and juicy. And I really am here for that, for you, to help facilitate that feeling for you. If you're still here, you're still on the live. If you're on the podcast, this is my official announcement that the Cabo retreat is in full planning mode. It will be a 3-4 day event in Los Cabos, my favorite second home. I am good friends and have been a long time client, I guess, of the Bahia Hotel. If you go to one of the posts on my Instagram, you'll see I did a little post about the beautiful space that we're going to host this in. And I have never felt more ready to host this event because we need to be able to get unstuck. We need to stop with the doing so much and drop into a place where we can just be for a couple days. And the original name of the retreat was going to be the Chill the Fuck Out retreat. I kind of revised it. It's going to be Drop the Script, because I want you to show up with no script. I want you to come into this experience with zero expectations. I want you to know that however and whoever you are is going to be the fullest version of you. And we are going to accept that. And there's going to be experiences created for you to be able to move through things that have been coming up for you or keeping you stuck or blocked. There will be time to not do shit, to be able to sit around and to just decompress from all of the doing, all of the last couple of years that we've been in go mode. Maybe you've been in hustle mode and that's the season you needed to be in to get where you're at. I honor you for that. But I want you to know that this space is going to be beautifully curated for you to have this time to connect with other women who need to do the same, but also to have that space and time for you to just have somebody take care of you. And when I announced this at the last mastermind I was involved in, there were 25 women in the room whose arms shot up and they were like, you better create this retreat because we definitely fucking need this, and for once to be able to be seen as the person who can curate this was an honor. I felt so fortunate that I was able to share my big dream and goal with women who validated it and who were like, we got your back, let's fucking go. I hope this retreat leads into our future mastermind, and the community is always available to you. The Insiders community, formerly known as the Beauty Insiders community, is now the Insiders Collective. And it is a safe space for, ambitious women to come and share what they're working on, what they're working through, and to share their big ideas and to collaborate with one another and to really build community around the fact that we are individually who we are and we get to show up as our fully expressed self in this space. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. All those links are always in the show notes in the podcast, but also the link in my bio on my Instagram. I'm an open book. You can fucking ask me anything. I will have an answer for you. And if it's not my answer, I will have gotten you the answer from somebody I know who can answer your questions. I am a master connector. That is my passion and purpose, is to just help not only connect you with the people in your life that you might need, but to connect you to your voice so that you could show up and have what the fuck you say you want. So I love that you're here. I love that I've got a few people watching me on the live as I do this podcast. And I am forever grateful for the opportunity to be able to podcast and share my shit with you guys and to watch you all do the same. Don't think I'm not watching you. Don't think I don't stalk all of my followers on Instagram right back. I am such a cheerleader for all of you guys chasing your shit and doing the things that are on your heart. And I can't wait to see you guys in Cabo. And if you're interested in the podcast course, it's now available. You can go grab that. Is in my link. It's below in the show notes here for the podcast, and then also on my Instagram as well. It's your back pocket secret weapon to starting the most successful podcast you can ever have. And don't try to figure it out on your own like I did. I know you're smart enough to, but listen, as I was saying earlier, you don't win a prize for doing it the hard way. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next episode. Which one of your girls needs to hear this one? Send this to someone who could use a smile, some encouragement, and a little love from this edgy podcast host. Much thanks and all the love.